Good evening. I'd like to call to order the special town council meeting, the first in the series of budget workshops. Please rise for a moment of silence. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Fishbein, Laffin,
Here.
Letourneau,
Here.
Marone,
Here.
Morgenstein, here. Shortell, Testa,
Here.
Zandri,
Here.
and Chairman Cervoni.
Here. Thank you. Having reviewed the agenda with the council prior to our commencement of this meeting, it is my understanding that there are no questions for the law department, for the mayor's office, for the town council office, for the town clerk's office, and for program planning. The only department tonight for which there are questions is government TV. And so if Mr. Hanley, you'd come out from behind the curtain, we would be grateful. It's page 17 for those who are following on their budget books at home. Good evening.
Good evening.
For the record, who are you?
Scott Hanley, manager of government television.
Thank you. Do you have any introductory remarks?
I really have not much to say. The budget, it's pretty clear. It's little changed from last year. I did mention to the mayor, though, in a budget meeting that the meeting system you see about you, the cameras, is 9 years old, believe it or not, and it is due for replacement. So and I indicated in next year's budget I will be asking for replacement funds, and it should be in the vicinity of $45,000 to $50,000. Unfortunately, when we put this system in, I should say unfortunately at this time, we don't have access to the money we once had to make such purchases. The fund that was available 9 years ago, a state fund, has been swept into the general fund to the tune of $4.6 million a year, and that's generally been available for community television operations to make improvements, also schools, I should say, to make improvements to benefit systems, technology, etc.
So typically you would have applied to that fund for a grant?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, in 2009 we received $40,000 to assist with this installation.
Thank you. Councilor Letourneau, I know you have a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Scott, on that fund, is it still coming out of, I think that was out of cable bills?
Yes, cable and satellite.
Cable and satellite. Is the money still coming out of there for that purpose?
To my knowledge, it's still being collected.
But Hartford is sweeping it and using it for other...
Correct. It was administered by DEEP, actually PURA, the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority, but no funds are being placed, being made available at this point.
Okay. On the equipment, on the cameras, I was actually here when those were replaced. You went from the system out in the audience where you had 3 operators and to just this system here, which is pretty nice. And I was surprised, I forgot that it was 9 years. You know, how are they, you know, are you going to be okay for another couple of years, or is one worse than the other, or?
Well, it's hard to tell. Actually, camera 2 is the one that seems to be showing the some signs of failing. The others as well. They tend to get a little grainier. It's hard to know. These cameras were the first generation of high-definition cameras. They're called PTC cameras, and I think there have been about 3 or 4 generations since. The cameras have improved, become a little less expensive, but we believe that the cameras are showing signs. We looked at footage from, say, 3 years ago, and recordings from that time, and there is a distinct difference. So they are failing, but we have no way of knowing. Could go tomorrow, could be 2 years. So I'm hedging my bets by looking at next year as a request, and not quite sure how the mayor and Mr. Bose would want to handle it in the budget, but it's a chunk of money.
Would it be fair to say that, if the council, we're not making motions tonight, but that will come, if the council put into your budget, say, 25,000 this year, and then next year, another 25,000. So just so it doesn't end up in one fiscal year, a $50,000 budget, for equipment replacement.
I know that
would that work?
It could work, yes. I know that we've addressed other expenses that way in the past.
You've done that in the past?
Yes, when we were looking to replace some of our studio equipment, we spread it over 2 years.
Over 2 years, okay. And how is the equipment behind the curtain?
Well, it's the same age, and I think in replacement of the system, where the cameras, we're really looking at replacing the system, so that some of the components in there would have to be replaced as well.
Okay, so in your $50,000 estimate, it would be cameras plus some of the equipment in there?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is wait to the night that we make motions, and I'm going to put a 25,000, try to put 25,000 back into your budget, and next year do the same thing. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If I may, Mr. Bose, does that necessarily work? I mean, if we're funding something resembling a capital improvement in a multi-year fashion, do we actually put money in the department budget, or do we put it someplace else where it can be carried over?
You could put it in the department budget, yes.
Okay.
And it would be, I'm going to make the assumption that Scott wouldn't need it next fiscal year, so that would have to be requested as a appropriation and force carry forward this time next year to you folks. Year one, in other words, year 1 of 2. And then the second year of the budget, like Councilman Letourneau said, would be the following year, 25,000.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Letourneau.
Jim, where would he put that? Would it be in the production equipment on 57301 under capital, or would it be a separate?
I think that's where you put a lot of the smaller stuff that you need to replace sort of on a lot more of a recurring basis. So we would establish an account. If you wanted to make a motion just to establish a new capital item within the government TV budget for 25,000, year 1 of 2, whatever you want, camera.
9 years ago it was meeting coverage system.
So whatever title that Scott would want to put on it.
Okay.
And we create a new line item in the budget that you're looking at.
Okay.
To do that if that got approved.
Okay, good, thank you.
Councilor Zandri.
Thank you. Based on that question, I now have a question. So, when we had the original camera people out there, and when we went to this system, did we reduce any staff positions at all?
Well, we did for meetings, yes. We generally had 5 here, and now we have 3.
But I mean, in totality, I see that you had 7 part-time staff. Did we have 8 before? Did we have 9 before? Did we have something that went down?
7 was the maximum number. We actually have a couple of openings at this point, so that we've not had the same demand for staff because of that reduction here. This is the cornerstone of our programming, and we had to rebuild the studio as well, so that was fallow for a while. So staffing level now is good. I do have one opening that I've been trying to fill, and that's production assistant.
But did we save? I guess to rephrase the question, did we lose any head count, or has it just been flat the whole time?
We just haven't replaced a couple of people who left.
Okay, so it was always been saying, so there wasn't really any cost savings, but we ended up managing the same number of people. Okay, and doing other activities because they weren't here.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the council? There being none, motion to adjourn is in order. Moved and seconded. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I declare this meeting adjourned.